My ship was nicknamed the U.S.S. Career Killer, but it ultimately also got the nickname the Suicide Ship. Um, we had 1 year where I think we had 7 or 8 sailors commit suicide.
Welcome to the Foxtrot Uniform Podcast, where we dive into military history with not only the veterans who lived it, but also the often overlooked experiences and sacrifices of military families. Find us on all your favorite platforms. Link tree in the description. Let's go! All right, so Star, uh, can you tell me a bit about your background and why you decided to join the military? Was there a particular event or person that influenced your decision?
Um, well, I was a straight A student in high school. I was in like all honors classes and everything, and I wanted to go to a 4 year university, but we didn't have enough saved up for me to go and do like the whole sorority thing and all that. Um, and the scholarship I had was for 2 years at community college. That felt too much like high school to me. So my mom suggested that I join the military and get a scholarship through there. And so I did.
Okay, so your mom supported you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
pretty much. She's the only one. She's the only one. No one else thought I could do it.
So your mom's always like your none of your siblings or nobody else did, just your mom.
They all supported the decision. They just didn't think that I would actually be able to do it, and so that was just more motivation to, you know, say screw them and actually do it.
Oh well, that's crazy. I would figure that it would more be the other way around. That mom wouldn't want you to go, but like your dad and your siblings would be cool with it.
Yeah, no, my mom's always been crazy supportive, so
Oh, that's freaking awesome.
I don't know.
So what branch did you end up going into, and then what was your MOS?
I joined the Navy and I was a CTR, which is cryptologic technician.
You only went to one unit, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So after your training, what was it like when you finally got to your unit?
unexpected. I joined the Navy because I wanted to travel the world, and I got to my first command 3 days after they started their 2 year um, period in the dry docks. So it was basically just like a construction zone for 2 years, and I didn't even really get to do anything actually related to my job.
So you just pretty much just cleaned the ship the entire time?
Did maintenance. There was a lot of it was like updating systems or equipment and stuff like that. And so we did um really it was a lot of maintenance, a lot of maintenance.
So you didn't get to do any of the fun stuff really, just all the stuff that nobody sees in movies.
Pretty much, yeah.
Did you take any leadership roles while you were in the Navy, or you just did your four and got out?
No, I was the training petty officer. I was the repair parts petty officer, which acquisitioned like all the parts that we needed for our unit. Which is we called it our division. So I acquisitioned all the parts we needed for our division, and then I was also the safety petty officer.
Did you have anything particular that you liked more than the other? Like, did you prefer safety
Training,
over ordering parts? Training, okay.
training for sure. I liked the idea. I feel like leadership has always been something that I'm passionate about, and having the opportunity to kind of guide and direct other sailors and develop them as leaders and as people. That was I really enjoyed that.
Do you think the Navy prepared you to be a leader, or is that something that you naturally just have?
Hmm. I think that that was something I just naturally had. I received the program and it was in complete shambles. They pretty much just gave it to me because I was at a rank where they thought that I needed to be taking on more responsibilities. But I wasn't really given any training on how to do this job. And I just kind of had to take initiative and revamp the program myself.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was in the Army too. It's like, hey, here's this thing we got to do. We don't have a fucking clue how to do it. Figure it out.
Pretty much, yeah. It was a challenge for sure. I enjoyed that challenge. I honestly think that my biggest challenge in the Navy was just dealing with leadership. Um,
But they're pretty toxic.
very toxic. Our ship was nicknamed the U.S.S. Career Killer. Because people who had been in for close like I had a couple people that I knew who had been in for 16 years and came to this command and said it was by far the worst command that they had ever been at, and to not let that be your judge of the Navy. But I was like, "Well, this is all I have to go off of, so, I am not going to be re-enlisting."
That is crazy. I was told the same thing about Third Infantry Division. Um, we were, from what everybody told me, like the worst unit to be in the Army was Third ID, and was told multiple times, don't let this be your opinion of the Army as a whole. And yeah, Third ID. I had a lot of fun at 3ID, but at the same time, it was a shit show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the people that you interact with. I ultimately chose not to reenlist, but I loved the actual people that I worked with. Leadership, not so much, but um, your your shipmates can make or break your experience.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing about the Army. The leaders were good. They could have been a lot better. I could have not been such an asshole too, but we're not going to talk about that. Uh, but I had two leaders that I was really proud of. The other ones really needed some work. At least I had two that were there doing the right thing, you know. But as far as like, it always seems like the worst are the ones that get booted up the chain. Like it always seems like the ones that have no business being in a leadership role are the ones that
Yeah,
always get it.
yeah. Sadly, those are the people that typically leave.
Just because of time and grade.
Pretty much.
So you did your time. You decided to get out because the career killer. When you transitioned from
Yeah.
military to civilian life, did you have any challenges, or was it pretty simple for you?
I think just feeling behind in life. Like I just did 4 years in a career that I didn't want to be in. And now I look around at all of the people that I went to school with, and they all have started their careers and they got their degrees and they're just advancing in life. And I'm over here like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing? So that's, I think, my biggest challenge, feeling behind.
So you don't feel like the military propelled you further in life? You feel like it kind of put your
I
life on
would
hold?
not say that. Um, I think that the military developed me a lot as a person, and I would not be the person that I am today without my military experience. Um, but as far as my plans for my future goes, that's something that I still struggle with.
But you know you don't want to do what you did in
Yeah,
the Navy as a career field now.
that is true.
So at
That's
least you know
true.
that, I guess. What lessons did the military teach you to help you become a better person for life after the military?
I learned a lot of self discipline. Um, I think that's probably my biggest thing. I matured a lot because when you're 19 years old and now all of a sudden you don't have anybody around telling you what to do and how to live, you grow up really quick. So I matured a lot, learned a lot of self-discipline, um, and learned because of the toxic leadership. I learned what I do like to see as a leader, and now I could apply that to myself and all of my leadership endeavors.
Okay, yeah, you kind of you've seen what you didn't like and what you don't want to be, so that's kind of shaping you into who you do want to be as a leader going forward, as a person going forward.
Absolutely.
I feel that
Yeah.
like 100% because I feel the same way about my time in service. It's taken me a while to realize a lot of the things from my time in the army. It's taken me a while to put pieces together, but the further I get away from the military, the more I look back on it, and it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be like that person. I'm gonna take the crap that I didn't like, and that's not, and just gonna take it out of my life. You know, um, there's a lot of good things too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's why I tell people I don't regret joining the military. I didn't enjoy it being in the military, but I don't regret it because everything in life is a lesson. Um, and everything in like you get to choose how you react to situations and the lessons that you take away from. So I could just sit here and talk about how much I hated my time, and um, I'm not going to because I don't regret it. And it's a really, really great career path for some people. It just wasn't for me.
For you, it could have just been a horrible unit. If you would have been in a different unit, just like me, if I would have been in a different unit, it may have been a totally different experience. It likely would have been a totally different experience. Um, but kind of take life with what you get.
Yeah, absolutely. Take it in stride.
Exactly. Exactly. So, is there anything you would like to share with the listeners about the importance of recognizing and supporting veterans?
This is a hard question for me to answer because I have a lot of respect for veterans. And I feel like a lot of people have done and sacrificed so much. I personally don't feel that way. So like, when I tell somebody that I was in the Navy and they say, thank you for your service, I have no idea how to respond to that because I feel like I didn't do anything. I just kind of went to work and it was in uniform, but it doesn't feel like I really did anything significant. So I do think that it's important to recognize veterans, but it's hard for me to say based on my own experience because I have a hard time recognizing that myself, if that makes any sense.
Right. A lot of vets feel the way that you do. I'm one of them. At the end of the day, I just went and did my job. Yeah, it was in uniform, but I went and did my job. Uh, but just like me, you went to MEPS, you saw your recruiter, you signed your name on that check. At any point in time, you could have been in the same place as I was or worse.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to think that you didn't that your service isn't valued because it absolutely was because you did. Just willing to go is more than what a lot of people are willing to do. A lot of people won't even go talk to a recruiter.
Yeah. That's true.
So I don't want you to think that your service didn't mean anything because it absolutely does.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So looking back, is there anything you would have done differently during your time in? Like, would you have chosen a different? You called it rate earlier. Would you chosen a different job or not done it at all?
No, I don't think that there's anything I would have changed. I don't know. It's easy to look back and see things that you would like to have done differently, but I don't think that if I did everything and went through everything that I did, I would be the same person. So no, I would not go back and change anything.
You like the life you have now, so if you change anything to prior to what happened now, you wouldn't be the same person.
Basically, yeah, I like the person I am now. I really liked the people that I worked with. Uh, just having those connections with people, like I've got my car. I was on leave. I was driving from Virginia to Texas, and my car broke down in like bumfuck Georgia. Can I cuss on this?
Yes, yeah. It's a podcast, man. It's not FM radio.
Wait a second. So, I was driving on leave from Virginia to Texas to visit my family, and my car broke down in like bumfuck Georgia. And I'm like, oh my God, it's the middle of the night. I have absolutely no idea where I am. Um, but I just so happened to reach out to a close friend of mine that I met through service who lives in Georgia. And he was like, I live 30 minutes from there. So I got my car towed. I got a hotel for the night. And then, like, the entire time that my car was getting repaired, um, like, he and his wife came and picked me up. I was good friends with his wife too. And it was just like a little mini vacation. I stayed at their house. We went and did some touristy things. And it's so awesome to have that sense of community to know that, like, okay, I'm in the middle of nowhere in Georgia and my car is broken down, but I have these people that I could call up and rely on to be there for me.
Man, I grew up in
So,
Georgia, and like I'm telling you now, what fucking touristy shit did you do in Georgia?
Helen or Helen,
Okay,
Georgia,
okay,
the
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
Germantown.
Because like when I think of Georgia, I'm
Yeah,
like,
we went there.
okay, I grew up there. I can't remember anything touristy about. Fuck that word. I can't remember anything that is. I can't
Touristy.
remember anything in Georgia. Just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring my friends here. Yeah, like there's Tybee
Yeah.
Island maybe.
No, we went to Helen. It was awesome.
Okay, okay. So, is there anything you want to say about mental health?
Yeah. My ship was nicknamed the U.S.S. Career Killer, but it ultimately also got the nickname the Suicide Ship. Um, we had 1 year where I think we had 7 or 8 sailors commit suicide. And that's successfully, and that's documented. We had some that had committed suicide, but it was just written off as, oh, they overdosed. And so it didn't count towards the suicide count. And we had 1 week where 3 people committed suicide within the same week. And that was fucking wild because I was cranking at the time, which is when you're loaned out from your parent department to another department like supply or somebody who needs, um, more help. And so the first suicide of that week, I was in the mess decks, and the person that had killed themselves was one of the girls' LPOs. So then we had to sit there and help her process that and comfort her through like that whole grieving process. And then a day or two later, I got sent to a different division on the ship that was like hotel services, maintaining the staterooms and stuff like that for the officers. And the guy who trained me to be his replacement, he killed himself when he got sent back to his department. And the reason being was he didn't want to go back to his parent department. And so that one hit me really hard because he had trained me and I replaced him. And I ultimately was the reason why he got sent back. Um,
Can't put that on you though.
I know I can't. I know I can't. But so like logically, I know that it's not my fault. He was gonna do it regardless, and like it's just you get assigned wherever you get assigned. Nobody has control over that except for the commanders. Um, but that one still hit me really hard when it happened. And then even attempted suicides. Like when I got back to my own parent department. Um, like one of the guys in my division had an attempted suicide, and one of my close friends in another department had an attempted suicide. And so it was just like all of this depression that was surrounding this command, and nobody did anything about it. um for a while, I don't know if every branch has it, but we have DRCs, the deployment resiliency counselors, which are basically civilian like I don't know, therapists, I guess, civilian therapists that are there as a resource for just that command. And I had been seeing our DRC for a while, and then found out through my leadership, not even through the DRC herself, that she was quitting because it was too much for her to handle. And so that like made me feel like, okay, well, like shit, okay. Do I have to go through this with somebody else? Like I feel like kind of abandoned in a sense because I was relying on this lady to help me, and then she just left. And so then the new DRC came months later, and I scheduled an appointment with him and went to one appointment with him, and then our next appointment he was a no-show. And so I just stopped going. And I went to the ship psych for uh can't oh, I think it was my grandma died during COVID, and I was really concerned that I wasn't going to be able to go to her funeral because we were on lockdown. They weren't letting anybody take leave or travel or anything. And I can't remember what it was that she lied to me about. I have like a lot of suppressed memories, like unhappy memories. I'm really good at suppressing. But she lied to my face. And so then all of my trust with the psych was gone. And so all of these resources, like quote unquote resources that are given to us, aren't reliable. Um, they had like command climate surveys every year, and one of them was like they did a live stream reviewing like the results of the command climate survey. And one of them one year was like, I think it was like 70 something percent of people saw the future as hopeless. And on live stream, our CO and ex or commanding officer and our executive officer were just like, well, we're about to be out of the dry docks, and so things are about to be getting a lot better, and everything's going to be okay. I'm like, man, you just had 70% of your commands tell you that they feel like the future is hopeless. And you're just going to tell people be okay eventually and like not actually do anything to try to fix it. Um,
So they didn't do anything to try to raise
no,
morale at all.
no,
Yeah, that's definitely my definition of toxic. 70% of your command has pretty much said you're doing a horrible job, and your reply is it'll get better, but do nothing to actively
yeah,
try and fix it.
pretty much.
That's yeah, I've experienced that too. Yeah, it's very very sad, very frustrating.
Yeah. So it was hard to be in a command and see so many people suffering so deeply and see everybody just kind of like throw a blanket over it and ignore it. And they're like, well, we've got these resources for you, utilize these resources. But the resources that are there are unreliable. And then people start worrying about, okay, if I would go and I talk to this person about these issues I'm having, I'm going to get kicked out. And nobody reassures them that it's okay to need help. So, um, the military is so great about talking about how they support mental health of their service members, but in practice, they're not at all. They don't care. It's all an act.
You're you're not wrong. Like I've told you my story in past conversations with you about about how when we were in Iraq and before going to Iraq, I was the super hua, did my job, did everything I could to to be that guy. And then we got back from Iraq, and I turned into essentially a shitbag, right?
Hmm.
And I, at the time, I didn't care. I was like, if you want to get me, if you want to put me out, put me out. I don't give a fuck. But looking back on it, it's like, damn, you motherfuckers could have tried a little bit harder to see if maybe I actually had some shit going on. Because now, 10 years later, it comes out I'm fucking PTSD like mad, you
Yeah.
know. And instead of giving me the help that I probably needed, they just said, "Fuck you, you're out, you're dumb, you're a problem child. We don't want you here." So I totally get it. I know
Yeah.
exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. I mean, I just know my experience in the Navy, but from talking to you, talking to members of other branches, I feel like that's kind of a pretty universal thing.
Yeah, it's sad. And if you go and you do any research on getting discharges upgraded, it's pretty much been said that if you were uh, if you were given a anything other than honorable, and come to find out you've had some kind of like PTSD, TBI, or anything like that, and you were deployed to a combat zone, it's very likely that if you submit to get your discharge upgraded to an honorable status, it's pretty much a given. Like
Oh,
if you
wow.
got kicked out and now you have PTSD or TBI or any of that other kind of stuff in that realm, yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed to get an honorable discharge upgrade. No, of course, everybody's experience varies with that, but it's almost guaranteed.
It's really awesome that they have that program, and that that's an option, and people should definitely utilize it, but it should be needed. Like, we should be screening people as they're leaving, and helping people get the help that they need while they're in, instead of 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, they're like, "Oh, so this is what was actually happening to me," you know?
Well, in defense of at least Fort Benning, um, in my case, they did do screening, right? Um, but I was like, you guys are kicking me out anyway, so what the fuck?
Yeah.
Just fucking go ahead and get me out of here. I did not at that time when I went through all my mental screenings before I got out. Um, I already knew they were kicking me out. I already knew that my military career was over. So when I went to go see the mental health specialist, it was like, I don't fucking care. You're kicking me out anyway. Just go ahead and fucking
Does
sign
the
off on the
Army have
paperwork and let me
everybody
fucking go home.
do, like, mental health screenings when they leave, or is it just if you're getting kicked out?
I think that's a part of out processing, but I'm not sure.
Mm.
I can't say one way or the other and be 100% positive on it. I would like to say that they do screen everybody. I'm pretty
That's
sure that
good.
that is part of
That's
out
good that they
processing.
do that.
But so did the Navy not do any kind of mental health
No,
out
I
processing
had a
when you
checklist and I
separated?
walked around the ship to all the different departments and I got them to sign off. There are a few things like getting my medical but nothing mental health related.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Crazy. I mean, honestly, that's pretty much what it was with me as well. Was I had a checklist I had to go through, and one of them was mental health. So it sounds like it was the same process, and maybe maybe I went through a little bit more than you did. I'm not sure, but I know at the same time I bullshitted my way through all of it. Every question answered was a no, I'm fine, no, I'm fine, no, I'm fine. Get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, pretty much. You just like brought your checklist and was like, "Hey, could I get your initials on here?" And then you get your initial from legal and you get your initial from the MWR and all that other shit, you know? And that's about it. No conversation necessary.
So what would you like to see happen, or do you have any thoughts on what the Navy or military in general should do in situations like what you had on your ship as far as mental health? Like like the command, 70% of the command was depressed essentially. What do you think the command could have done to raise morale?
Yeah. Well, they could have done a little bit more digging instead of just saying, okay, 70% of our ship is unhappy. Maybe send out an additional poll um, with some, basically just like a suggestion box of like, what would you like to see? What can we do that will provide you um, a better sense of morale? And then also, the resources that they do have, they need to make them more reliable. They need to kind of erase the stigma that if you go and you try to get help for your mental health, that you're going to get kicked out or you're not going to be promoted or you're going to lose your security clearance or whatever other, you know, scare tactics they use to discourage people from seeking help. Um, but really it's just about listening to people. I feel like at least in the Navy, and I think that it's pretty standard for the all the other branches, is it's all about following policy. And like the Navy is deeply rooted in tradition, and so they don't like to make changes. um but we need to. Times change, and your leadership shouldn't be, well, you know, this is what the UCMJ says, or you know, whatever else. Like it needs to be about the people and listening to them.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the command needs well, no, I'm not gonna say command. I think that the military in general needs to take a deeper look into mental health of the service members. Um, One of the things I've kind of started saying is they train you to go to war. They train you how to be this badass. Like they tear you down and build you up again to be the best version of yourself. But yet, when it comes time to come home, they don't teach you how to come home. And
Yeah.
that was a struggle. That was
What they teach you is they teach you how to block your feelings. They teach you how to block all of your problems and all of your emotions and
right. They
everything that
teach you
you're
how to
feeling,
compartmentalize.
instead of how to process it.
Yeah, but then they don't tell you. Well, they tell you to, hey, mental health is available, but then they don't really. There was never really a clear path on, hey, you're home now. Maybe you should go see mental health and just make sure everything's good. You know, it's okay to get help. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
there is there like a turning point in your mental health journey? Like, is there a particular person or moment that impacted you for you to go seek help?
Um, Kind of just myself, really. I realized that I had learned to suppress my emotions too much, and life deserves to be felt, and I wasn't feeling it. So I decided that I was going to start going to therapy, with a civilian therapist, and that has been life changing for me. As far as like actual like veteran services, this podcast, um, this this podcast motivated me, and I've got an appointment booked to work on getting my disability claim filed, and like you just in conversations with you have taught me about different resources that are available that I had no idea and like should be made aware to veterans as they're leaving the service. But now because of you and because of this podcast, I'm on that journey currently, but it's very new still. So
Well, well, thank you. And any way I can help you, you know how to reach.
I
Like if
appreciate it.
anything I can help you as far as trying to weave your way through the bureaucracy of the VA. Like, yeah, it can be a nightmare.
Yeah, which is the main reason why I never was like, I don't want to deal with this
It
at all.
it can definitely be a nightmare and a pain in the ass. But like,
Yeah, you convinced me it's worth it.
well, it definitely is. And I told you personally, and um, if the listeners haven't listened to the very first podcast, you definitely should because that is my story about how I started going to the VA and how my wife impacted me on doing that, on why I did that. And by the way, Star is the one that convinced me to do that episode. So thank you for that, Star. Um,
Can't take all the credit, but
well,
you did all the work.
you and I still hate his username. You and Mom are the ones that convinced me to do it. So so thanks for the inspiration on that. What were the biggest challenges for your family during your time in the military? Like what was their biggest issues with you leaving?
They didn't have a problem with me being in the military. My family is very supportive. They had a problem with like the quality of life. Um, how shitty the barracks were and stuff like that. They're like, I thought that you would at least get to have your own private room and like not be in a dorm room without even a functioning kitchen, and then they shut the community kitchen down because people were making a mess of it, and so like we didn't have a place to cook food. So stuff like that, my parents were upset about, um because they felt like I wasn't being given the opportunity to live my best life. um I was very fortunate that I got to see them fairly regularly. They were able to come and fly up to see me once or twice a year, and then, I would use my leave to go see them. But I think it impacted me more so than it impacted them, like not being close to them and not having that support system around. Because my family and I are very close, and so I have vowed that never again will I live so far away from my family that I won't be able to come home for weekends or something like that.
You sound just like my wife.
I'm telling you, her and I would be like best friends.
Like I've tried to get my wife to move like a couple hours away from where we live now, and every single time it's like it'd be easier for you and your job, but I'm not leaving my parents, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So I kind of stopped trying,
Yeah.
but she will not leave
Yeah.
mom and dad, and I can't. It, it's not a bad thing. I'm glad that she has her parents nearby. But at the same time, it's like, if we moved over here, it would be a lot easier for me to come home more. So there's that. But I totally get why she won't leave. So I kind of just, yeah. Anyway, yeah, you and her probably would be like best buds. That's kind
Yeah.
of scary.
I know, I'm saying.
So, so you said that it impacted you more than it did your family. Like, do you think that played into any of the morale and mental health challenges you face with not having your family close by?
Yeah, kind of to an extent. I mean, I've always been a pretty independent person, but um, like not having my support system around to kind of ground me and help guide me on different situations. Like I was in a relationship for practically my entire duration in the military that was a horrible relationship. But since I was really the only one around who was able to see it, um, I didn't see how bad it was until I was able to come home and my family was like, "Do you not see like all of these red flags that are like being thrown up everywhere?" So it's like things like that like really impacted my life because I always go to my family for guidance and I didn't always have that ability when I was away.
That's awesome. Like, I always find that interesting because me and my mom and my dad are, I'd say we're close, but then when I hear other stories or I hear my wife and I see my wife with her family, it's like, oh yeah, we're not close. like like we talk, but we don't hang out. We don't. I don't tell my mom and dad everything. Like
Does anybody tell their
it
parents
took me
everything?
11. Well, it took me 12 years. 12 years to tell my mom about the stuff that happened in Iraq. Um, and the only reason I didn't even tell her. I just gave her my psych report. And the only reason I even did that was because my little brother wanted to join. And I'm like, if he wants to join, then you need to read this and tell him every
Yeah.
single thing that's a possibility. Like he needs to know everything. Like I don't care if he goes, but he needs to know everything. I'm like, and you've been wanting to know for 12 years what everything that happened while I was over there. So here's my psych report. It's got everything in it, and she has not told me anything about it yet.
I
So
get
I'm kind
that
of
though. I think that
worried about that.
I think that maybe it's a veteran thing, maybe it's just we have similar personalities, but like severely dislike talking about my feelings and what's like going on in my head. So I don't really talk to my family about that a whole lot. I know that they're always there to support me and I know that I could always fall back on them, but I've never really been a super emotional person and neither has my family. So a lot of stuff like that we don't talk about either.
I get that. I totally get that. So is there so for people that are thinking about joining or or that are in now, like is there any advice you would have for not only the service member but for also the family?
Yeah. I think that definitely don't be discouraged by other people's bad experiences. Because that's not everybody's experience, and everybody has different personalities and different work environments that work for them. Like, I know several people who absolutely thrived in the military. So, like, don't take mine and Turbo's experiences and be like, oh, well, maybe I don't want to do that. Just educate yourself on what it's actually going to be like. Know that your recruiter is most likely lying to you to get you to join, and do your own research. Talk to your own people and see what is it really like, because it's not all glory. It's not all, oh, we're defending freedom and democracy and the concept. Like that's not what it is. It to an extent it is, but not really. Find out what your life is going to be like and see if that's a life that you want to live. And as far as families go, just be there. When you're sailor or soldier or marine or airman, whoever they are, when they come to you or don't come to you, just support them in whatever capacity that they need. Don't try to discourage them, always motivate them because they get enough discouragement as is from outside forces. And what they really need from their core group of people is your unconditional love and support.
That just hit me in a way because I just realized that the whole time I was in the military, you're right. You don't get a lot of support. You get a lot of hey, you need to do this, or hey, you need to do better, or hey, uh, get over there and do push-ups because you fucked up, or that kind of shit. I realized I didn't
Yeah,
have a lot of support, as in, hey, you can do anything you want to do, or oh no, it's okay. You fucked it up this time, but this is how you do better next time. There was none of that stuff.
right.
Um, and I think that's why now, if somebody tells me, I think maybe that's why I get pissed off when I feel like I'm not being supported by my wife or by somebody else. Is because my entire adult
Yeah,
life, it's like I never had that support. I feel like I never had that support. Now, did I? Yes, my mom and dad absolutely always have. My wife absolutely has. But it's just always felt like that I never had that kind of support to actually go after something. It's okay if you fuck up.
right. Just because the support is there doesn't mean that you know that it's there. Like, you have to actively let your person know that you're there for them and you're going to love them and you're going to be there for them no matter what the situation, and make sure that they know that any issues that they have, they could come to you.
Right? And for the person receiving that support, be open to it.
Yeah,
Don't shut it out like I did. Be open to it.
like a lot of us do.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're trained to do. That's how we're trained to be. um
Right.
but that's not the healthy way to be.
Absolutely not. So what motivates you?
Becoming the best version of myself and helping other people become the best version of themselves.
If you could change the world for the better, what one thing would you want to do? And what sort of impact would you want to have on the world?
I would want to foster community and like human connection. I think that there's a lot of division among people, but there doesn't have to be. So if we could find a way to kind of make people realize that we're all human and we all go through the same life experiences, people would have a lot more compassion towards each other, and the world would be a better place.
So yeah, thanks for your time, Star, and thanks for sharing your story. While we're getting out of here, is there anything else you would like to tell somebody before you leave?
Yeah, like, subscribe, listen to all the new episodes every Thursday.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I was about to correct you and say, "Ma'am, it's Tuesday."
No, you said we're switching it to Thursdays.
On that note, join us next Thursday for the Foxtrot Uniform Podcast and help us build that sense of community.
The fast life, the fast living. They see the ambition, they know I'm past driven. Look, we are not the same, this is not a game. I be swerving through the city in and out of lanes. Yeah, cause if I see it, then I want it, then you better know I got it. Ain't no options, I'm about to do the damn thing. I'm an outlaw, you can never catch me. I'm in first place, you can never. These are the moments, only got one life. This is your moment, whether wrong or right. You're your own enemy, your own enemy, your own enemy. Yeah. When I fall, I keep running. Feel the pain, but I love it, yeah. You know I'm built for it, you ain't gotta ask twice. You ain't by that fast life, 100 on the dash with the cash light. You ain't by that fast life, big dog status with your stats like. You ain't by that fast life, just know 100 duffels at the bag price. You ain't by that fast life, 6 speed, yeah, I'm smashing on the gas. It's a fast life. It's a fast life. Keeping it moving, don't switch up my code. Life full of circles, we out the A4. It's a fast life. Look, yeah, I'm about to ride it till the wheels fall off. Yeah, I'm about to run the game, I ain't never dropping off. Let's be talking about a bag, put a duffel on the dash. Yeah, I'm really about to swap. Heavy foot up on the gas with it. Trunk tracks when the cash in it. Passionate, long range when I'm passing it. All drive, I ain't stopping unless I'm crashing it. And even that wouldn't stop me from going after it. These are the moments, only got one life. This is your moment, whether wrong or right. You're your own enemy, your own enemy, your own enemy, yeah. When I fall, I keep running. Feel the pain, but I love it, yeah. You know I'm built for it, you ain't gotta ask twice. You ain't by that fast life, 100 on the dash with the cash light. You ain't by that fast life, big dog status with your stats like. You ain't by that fast life, just know 100 duffels at the bag price. You ain't by that fast life, 6 speed, yeah, I'm smashing on the gas. It's a fast life. It's a fast life. Keeping it moving, don't switch up my code. Life full of circles,